It is Monday, May 20th, and the Splash Zone is back in your life. I am Matt Modi, and I have two NBA bets for you guys to lock in for tomorrow's NBA betting slate. Unfortunately, we are at the point in time of the NBA season where we're only going to have one game a night on games where we do have nights, but I'm still going to be here giving you bangers for these games. So for tomorrow, again, we got Pacers versus Celtics. I'm going to have one play on the main line, one play on the spread, and then I'm going to have one play on a player prop as well. So two plays for you guys total, one spread, one player prop. Of course, before I can give you those picks, we got to do a recap, which was not the best weekend of my life. So I'm recapping you over the weekend. Not ideal. We did cash our one play on Saturday in the Mavericks versus Thunder, but the game sevens yesterday did not go our way. I had Jalen Brunson 35 plus points. No dice there as he breaks his hand and shoots like 6 of 18, something terrible. I had Karl Anthony Towns under 19 and a half points. Anthony Edwards couldn't score. Cat was awesome. Just a bad play there. Then I had Jokic over 8.5 assists, which is one of the most frustrating losses I've ever had. He only had like 5 or 6 assists, so that didn't look great. But his potential assists were off the charts. He had 19, not off the charts, but he had 19 potential assists. All we needed him to do was get 9 actual. The Nuggets couldn't make a shot. All 3 of those were L's. Just a tough run there, but it happens. So down over 1.5 units over the weekend. That now brings our total profit on the season. The entire season, regular season plus playoffs, we are up about 110 units. But we have not been able to replicate that success in the playoffs. So we are up less than 2 units now on the playoffs. It's been rough. Every time it feels like we're about to go on a run, something happens and I lose a bunch of bets like I did this past weekend. So hopefully we're able to start a run going into these conference finals. If you are new to my channel, I would appreciate it if you could click that subscribe button. And then for this specific video, if you could comment. And then the last thing I'll mention before I get into the bangers is that I do have a dub club where I send all of my picks out. So the dub club gets you the same exact plays that you see me give out for free on YouTube and on Twitter. It just gets them sent directly to your phone, text, email, Telegram. And it also gets them, you get them early. So unfortunately, by the time I record a video, edit the video, and post it, the odds change. There's nothing I can do about that. So my way to combat that was to come out with the Dub Club where I'll post all my plays again early. So as soon as I decide what a play is, the very first thing I do is send it out to Dub Club. So if you're interested in that, again, $5 a month. If you want to just get everything for free on YouTube and Twitter, totally cool with me. I just wanted to give people the option. But that's enough of that. Let's get into these plays. So again, I'm going to have 2 for you guys starting. Pacers versus Celtics. Give me the Celtics minus 9.5. minus 110 odds at Caesars. So to be honest with you, this is a system play, fading the team coming off of a 7-game series, fading the team that has less rest than the other team, while also being able to back the Celtics, who I do think should be able to beat the doors off the Pacers. Now, this Pacers run has been fun. It's a little bit of a paper tiger type of run because of the teams that they played, the Bucks, Knicks dealing with injuries. And yes, the Celtics have played teams dealing with injuries as well. The Celtics also won both of their series in 5. They're also one of the best regular season teams we've ever seen, and they've had success in the playoffs. Now, we love to clown the Celtics for not winning a championship. They've at least had success in the playoffs, whereas the Pacers had an electric offense all regular season, were not super reliable, also had a horrible defense. So I'm pretty confident that the Celtics are going to be able to win and cover in Game 1. For starters, look at the 2 Game 1s that they've had so far in these playoffs. Game 1 against the Heat, they won by 20. Game 1 against the Cavs, they won by 25. They covered the spread in both of those games, and they were the more well-rested team in both of those games as well. So maybe if you want to make the argument that, hey, they're going to start slow, they only had 5 days off, sure, that might happen. Eventually, I think they'll be able to pull away. And also the Pacers are only going to have 1 day in between coming off of that 7-game series against the Knicks, where I know the last couple games were blowouts, still a 7-game series. And we did just see this Celtics team play a team coming off of a 7-game series. That's exactly the same situation the Celtics were in heading into the Cavaliers series. And as I mentioned, the Celtics won that game by 25. And also, as I mentioned, this is honestly a system play, fading the team coming off of a 7-game series. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it has a 100% hit rate every single time you fade a team after a 7-game series. It's going to hit? Of course not. But it does more often than not. This year, it's 1-0. Granted, yeah, it's a tiny sample size. Last year, all 3 teams that won in Game 7 lost in Game 1. And 2 of the times, the teams that lost were actually the favorites. So the Heat, they beat the Celtics in a 7-game series. Game 1 against the Nuggets, they were underdogs. They lost by 11. They didn't cover the spread. But the other 2 times, The Eastern Conference Finals between the Celtics and the Heat. The Celtics were coming off of a 7-game series against the Sixers. They were favored against the Heat. They were pretty big favorites, and they lost game 1 outright. And then we also saw the round prior to that, the Warriors were coming off of a 7-game series against the Kings. They were favored against the Lakers. They came out and they lost that game as favorites. So again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a 100% hit rate, but it is a system that I have been following in the playoffs. Went 3-0 last year, 1-0 so far this year. And again, I just like backing this Celtics team, which has a ton of matchup advantages against the Pacers, at least for game 1. I can't tell you what's going to happen in game 2 because the Celtics sleepwalk through game 2. But for game 1, I absolutely love the Celtics to come out and just blow the doors off of the Pacers. That's our first play. And then our second and final one, give me Jaylen Brown over 5.5 first quarter points, -118 odds at FanDuel. Now, I know it might be boring just going to the same play over and over again, but you got to hear me out. For starters, this play's cashed in 4 of 6 playoff games that Jaylen Brown has played without Kristaps Porzingis. 4 of 6. So I know it might be boring, I should say, going to the same play over and over again. But when you're winning plays 4 out of 6 and you're getting pretty reasonable odds, like sometimes we're getting plus 102, plus 100. This time we're getting -118. That's still a reasonable price. I still think that's worth playing. And if you're winning 4 out of 6 bets, you're generally going to be profitable as long as you're not betting anything like -500. But I also think that this is a perfect matchup for Jaylen Brown in this series against the Pacers when you look at how the Pacers play defense and where Jaylen Brown scores. Now, yeah, it's going to be a good series for Tatum as well. I like it as a match from a matchup perspective, a little bit better for Jaylen Brown. So for Jaylen Brown specifically, if you want to back him, it makes the most sense to back him in the first quarter because that's when he scores the most. But just look at all these numbers I'm about to give you regarding Jaylen Brown in this Pacers defense. So the Pacers defense in general, the Pacers defense is at its worst when they are allowing dribble penetration and allowing players to attack the rim. The Celtics don't attack the rim at a super high rate, but that's what Jaylen Brown does on the Celtics more than anybody else on the team. He drives at either the most or second most frequency, depending on the regular season or playoffs, what you're looking at. But regardless, he scores the most at the rim on the Celtics, and that was true both in the regular season and in the playoffs. The Pacers in the regular season allowed the most points in the NBA in the restricted area. They also allowed the most points in the NBA via drives as well. So they allowed the most driving to the basket, while also allowed the most in the restricted area. In both the regular season and the playoffs, Jaylen Brown has both attempted and made the most baskets for the Celtics, specifically in the restricted area. And then if you look at the playoffs, Jaylen Brown has scored the most points on the Celtics via drives. Now, that one is playoffs specific. In the regular season, Tatum did score more via drives. But the way Tatum scores while driving is he likes to pull up. He doesn't get to the rim as often as Jaylen Brown. If you look at their frequency at the rim, Jaylen Brown's is higher, even though Tatum scored more via drives in the regular season. Attacking the rim, that's the way you want to go against this Pacers team. That's why I love backing Jaylen Brown specifically. And looking at how he's performed against the Pacers last year, this year, first quarter, it's phenomenal. He cashed his first quarter point prop all 5 games against the Celtics this season. Against the Pacers. Literally 5 for 5. Jaylen Brown went over 5.5 first quarter points against the Pacers. And if you go back to last year, he did it in 7 of 8. I absolutely love this play for Jaylen Brown. I'm incredibly confident that he's going to come in and score 6 or more points in the first quarter. Hopefully he does. Hopefully the Celtics win and cover. We have a nice 2-0 day, getting ourselves back in the winning ways, which is what we've been most of the season, just not in the playoffs. But that's all we got. I appreciate everybody for watching. Again, make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the Dub Club if you're interested, and have a good one.